Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar, where we get to sit down and talk with interesting professional guitar players and related music industry experts. If you love playing guitar, stick around. You're in the right place. Hey everybody, this is Craig Garber from Everyone Loves Guitar, and today is a first. I have a special guest, Brandon Wrinn, and I've interviewed his brother Blake, so this is my first set of brothers. This is a big month. I had my first first set of brothers. I'm going to have to start buying lottery tickets. Anyway, Brandon Wrinn, besides being a really cool dude, he's an excellent bassist and a songwriter who's been part of the Nashville music scene since 2009. He spent the last 8 years breaking into many aspects of the music industry, including live performances, studio sessions, and songwriting. Brandon's playing can be found on numerous recordings of Nashville's top songwriters, including Ben Hayslip, Jimmy Yeary, Sarah Buxton, David Lee Murphy, and Rivers Rutherford. Many of the demos that Brandon has played on have gone straight into the hands of major label artists, including Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, Chris Jansen, Rascal Flatts, and a recent song that was demoed, written, and recorded by country artist Tyler Farr. In addition, Brandon has traveled throughout the States and Europe with many country and Christian music acts. He's currently touring with Universal Nashville recording artist Lauren Alaina, and she's a season 10 runner-up on American Idol. Brandon's dad, Kenny Wrinn, played guitar for Waylon Jennings, as well as filling in for Dolly Parton and other country acts during that time frame. And when he left Waylon, he formed his own group. Brandon, thanks so much for being on the show, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
I appreciate it. And let me make one announcement, because I know your mom's going to be listening. I just wanted to tell
okay.
Mom, you have two of the nicest, most polite young men as I've ever spoken to. Seriously, man, you and your brother are just like really pleasant, really super polite,
thank you.
Man. No, man, thank
Appreciate
you.
That.
Just makes so much easier dealing with someone that's like that, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, what are you working on now that you're most excited about?
Man, just the Lauren stuff, really. Just looking towards next year. Some of the stuff that we got going on. That's pretty much been my main focus, and I'd say that's probably what I'm most excited about, to see what we've got coming up. But you know, I'm still writing. I'm still trying to do some studio stuff. So looking to see what I get into this next year as far as that stuff goes as well.
How many dates does she have booked for next year already?
Gosh, I don't know right now. We are doing a tour, and I think it's a summer tour. And I can't say who with yet. But I think we're doing like 45 to 50 dates with that particular artist.
That's great. You guys are opening up?
Yeah. Going to be opening up on a pretty big tour. It's going to be exciting. Hopefully we'll get to say who that is here.
That's
soon.
Awesome, man. Very cool.
But yeah, other than that, I don't know. I've been super busy this year, so I'm looking for next year to be even more busy.
That's great. That means things are doing well.
Yeah, it's going great.
I know her. I notice her popularity is increasing very much.
It is. Yeah, she's really working hard. She's had some crazy success this past year. Coming off of Idol, she did really well. Her first album did well, but then she actually took a couple years off. Had a lot of different things going on. Had vocal cord surgery.
Oh wow.
So about 2.5 years ago, she kind of re-released herself as a new artist in a way. Her music changed a little bit. She was doing more of her own writing and stuff like that. But yeah, man, she's plugging away. She's doing really well. It's going really well for her. She's worked really hard.
That's good, man. I'm happy to hear that for all of you guys.
Yeah.
On your writing, what do you do mostly with your writing? Do you submit it to other artists, or do you record some of it, or what do you typically do?
Most of the writing I do is geared towards artists. Sometimes I write with a particular artist in mind. Sometimes I just write and kind of put it out there and see, who bites on it. A couple of the guys that I was working with were doing a lot of demos and songs for just various artists, so I got to get in on a little bit of that, and that's kind of where I started with that. But yeah, just Sometimes I write for myself. Sometimes I write for other people. It just depends. I haven't really had a cut yet. I haven't had anybody record anything yet, but I've had a couple songs on hold.
Oh, that's good.
But nothing that's taken quite yet. But I'm still kind of new to the whole writing game, so I'm still working my way up the ladder. So yeah.
And just so I understand it, as I understand it, when something's on hold, it's like someone's got the right to reserve that song should they want it.
Yeah. Usually, they'll tell you if they're looking at possibly cutting it or not. And yeah, they basically just kind of reserve it, and you just kind of put it on hold for them. And sometimes they'll put it on the album, sometimes they don't. It just depends on what they're looking for and what they feel the right direction is.
But it's like a gentleman's agreement. It's not like there's nothing in writing or anything.
Yeah, no, usually, yeah. It's more like just an agreement, just a mutual thing.
I always find that amazing because, like, I find it amazing that they don't pay the songwriters for that because, and it's like telling somebody, I'm going to buy your house maybe in the next 3 years. I'm not going to give you an escrow deposit though.
Yeah.
Because you're putting it, in theory, you're pulling it off the market. Just like, someone pulling a house off the market, you're not selling it. So I always found that interesting, but I guess that's just the nature of the beast in that industry.
Yeah, man. It's it's interesting the way that it works, but once you kind of, let them kind of put it on hold, you really can't do anything with it. And then if they decide to pass on it, you may get another shot with somebody else. You may not. Right. Depending on if there's anybody else that's looking for a song similar to what you're putting out there. But it's it can be kind of nerve-wracking, and you just never know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah. Let's talk about your bass playing first.
Sure.
In the intro, I said that many of the demos you've played on have gone straight into the hands of major label artists, including Jason Aldean, Luke Bryan, Chris Jansen, Rascal Flatts, and a recent song that was written, demoed, and recorded by country artist Tyler Farr. So in this particular case, these are songs that other songwriters have cut. You've played the demo on it.
Correct.
And these guys, they had a hold on the song in this case, and they picked it up.
Yeah, most of the stuff that I've done has been just demo work. A lot of the top songwriters in town, they'll have an idea. Sometimes I get to, write my own parts. Sometimes they've got an idea of where they want to go. But most of it's been demo stuff to where the songwriter will give us, sometimes it's just a guitar and a vocal of what they're wanting and what they're looking for. And then, we'll go in, they'll, whoever they've got to produce it, I'll get hired and come in and just cut my bass parts or whatever. But it's just basically just getting a really good idea of what the song should sound like, and just do a good demo of it. And then they'll take that demo and then they'll pass it on or start pitching it to artists. Sometimes like with the Tyler Farr song, it was one that he wrote. And they were just wanting to get a good demo on it, to see if it was something they were looking at, to see if the label, kind of agreed that was a song that they wanted to put on the album. And unfortunately, that particular song, again, recorded it with him, but it ended up not going on the album.
Right.
So it's just kind of sitting out there. I'm sure they'll never do anything with it at this point, but...
So this is just a question. It's like baseball, man. You got to take a lot of swings to connect on a base hit.
Yeah, man. It's at the level I'm at, you take so many swings. I think with like the hit songwriters in town, the guys that are getting the number ones on a regular basis, I think it's something like 1 in every 10 songs they write may get picked up.
Right. And they've got a track record of number ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So it's just, it's just all about what a particular artist is looking for. You know, it has nothing to do with the song being good or not being good. It's just, you know, what's marketable. But yeah, it's an interesting beast, to say the least.
Do you know Shay Watson?
Shay Watson.
He's a songwriter in town. He does a lot of sync work with a guy named Klaus Lukes.
Man, I don't know. It sounds vaguely familiar, but I don't know if I know. I don't know if I know Shay.
He's a songwriter, and man, the amount of songs he's written.
Yeah.
I mean, he's probably written 10,000 songs in his last 20 years or something like that. And he gets them picked up here and there, and some of them do really well. But I mean, 10,000. I mean, that's
it's crazy. You know, I try to do writing every day. At least try to write a song or two a week, at minimum. But yeah, man, some of these guys write just tons and tons of songs, and the funny thing is, you know, you'll never hear the majority of them. And a lot of times, you write something and you forget about it. Especially if somebody passes on it, it just kind of goes to the wayside, and you know, it may never even get thought of again.
Right.
So yeah, there's so many great songs that I've heard out there, and it's like, why is nobody cutting that song? But it's weird. It's weird to me.
And then I've talked to guys at other situations. Guys have played on demos, and then all of a sudden they get a massive check, and they're like, "Whoa, what's this for?" Well, they took the demo and they put it right on the album. They liked it as it was. Really? And it became a top 10 album. And all of a sudden they're getting these checks, and they're like, "Holy smokes! I wasn't." So it's just it's a interesting business like that where. Oh yeah,
for sure. It's yeah, I'm looking to the day when I get some of those checks through the mail.
I hope you do. Yeah,
but
I bet
it's I'm just right now I'm just looking to get my name on something. Just getting the recognition for it, really. But yeah, man, it's cool sometimes that, they, with some of the demos, they've gone as far as actually taking it in, because once we do a demo, they'll take it in and they'll re-record it with A-list studio guys. But sometimes it's cool to listen, because those guys may keep a part that you came up with and, recreate it and put it on there. And it's kind of cool to hear that sometimes. It's like, oh, they like that enough to keep it.
Yeah.
So that's cool to hear sometimes. But yeah, man, it's no major cuts yet, but I'm still working, still plugging away at it.
Keep plugging away, man. You're from Tullahoma, if I remember, right?
Yes.
What was growing up like?
A lot of music.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Tullahoma. It's really a cool town. It's not too big. I think it's somewhere around like 20,000 people. But it's a pretty diverse town. It seems it's we got Air Force Base here, which is mostly civilian now, but it's a big engineering community. So there's people from all over that that come to Tullahoma. Yeah, man, it was a great place to grow up. I really enjoyed growing up here. It's low crime. Not too far from Nashville. It's about 15 minutes off the interstate, I think. But yeah, it's always growing up, I was like, I can't wait to get out of here. And then, looking, growing up and looking back, it's like, well, that's really not too bad of a place. I'm actually moved back here now, living, and which is nice for me when I get off the road, because I'm so many places and so many cities that it's really nice to kind of come back here to where it's just quiet, so I can just kind of come back and unwind.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Not deal with the noise
of Nashville. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I had a question. What was your earliest exposure to music? I know that was because your dad was a professional musician. I'm assuming this is like as far back as your memory stretches, music was always going on in your house.
Yeah, from an early age, I think I was just really drawn to it. But yeah, my dad definitely had an influence. But even my grandparents, I grew up, they always had a piano in the house, and I always for some reason was just so drawn to sitting down at the piano and actually trying to figure stuff out and learn it. Real early age, but I think I started playing guitar when I was 7.
How did that come about? Just from your dad, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I think I kind of wanted to learn, and I'd seen him play. So he kind of, he always had guitars laying around the house. So he would kind of teach me a little bit and show me some stuff, and then just kind of leave me on my own to see if I was really gonna go to it or not. He didn't want to push me into it.
Want to see if you had some skin in the game on your own.
Yeah. So, he would step back and see that I, really wanted to learn. So he'd teach me a little more, and I would take that and keep building off of that. And that's just kind of how that came about. He obviously he wanted me to do music if I wanted to, but he didn't want to push me into
it.
But
yeah.
Once he saw that I was, really interested in it, he would sit down and just, go through a lot of different things, basic chords and just different songs and riffs and things like that. But yeah, just I can't really remember not being interested in music. It just seems like it was always there for me.
Was there like a point, like how did you know, or when did you want to commit to doing this professionally? Is there a definite thing, or was it always in your head? Yeah, this is what I'm going to do.
I think it was kind of always in my head. Honestly, it just made sense to me. I just, being little, you think of 100 different things you can do. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be this. I want to be that. It was just always just kind of for me. I wanted to play. I wanted to be a musician. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. And it's just as far as I can remember. And it was, more than just the music. It was, I grew up, with some older cousins and stuff. So I was watching MTV and watching a lot of these concerts and stuff on TV and behind the musics and things like that. And I just the whole lifestyle of it just really, for some reason, appealed to me. Little did I know.
Girls. Yeah.
But, just the thought of being on stage and doing that professionally is something I always wanted to do. I don't know if I really thought I would ever do it, but it's definitely something I wanted to do from a very early age.
Yeah.
And I think my first time actually performing on stage, I was maybe like 8 or 9.
Oh, wow. That's very young.
And it was just like, this is it, It was just, that was it for me. It's all I wanted to do.
Your brother had a very interesting memory of, it was like a moment of nostalgia. He said, man, you know what I always loved? He always had really fresh strings on the guitars. That was like, kind of cute in a way, to hear that. Cause he goes, and my dad, cause he was a professional, he always kept the strings so fresh on there. It was nice. He
always had
touching
fresh strings on there,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, it was really cool hearing that. What do you like better? Do you like studio or do you like touring better? Or what do you want to do more of? Or like if you have to chart your own, if you have any say in your own course, how would you chart that moving forward?
Man, it's I was just talking about that the other day with a buddy of mine that I've done some work for in the studio. It's they're both totally different worlds, and if you've never done either or, I don't think a lot of people realize that to be a studio musician is totally different from being a live musician. There's just so many different things that go into it. And I like them both equally. I love being on the road, but I love being in the studio and creating. Of course, the past 2 years, I've done a lot more road work than I've done studio work. So at this point, I'm kind of itching to get back more towards the studio stuff.
Sure.
But as soon as I do that, I'm going to be back out on the road. So It's just kind of goes back and forth. If there was a way I could find to balance the two, I would definitely do that. But being on the road, and as busy as we are, I I don't get to do as much studio stuff as I was doing 2 years ago. Yeah, I couldn't pick one or the other. I think eventually when I get tired of being on the road and get a little older, it starts to take its toll. I'll definitely work more towards the doing studio full time and songwriting. But yeah, it's tough to pick.
I've talked to a lot of studio guys now, and those guys are more like high efficiency machines. I mean,
oh man,
I cannot believe that what's expected of them in that time frame that it's expected in. I was talking to someone the other day and they said, they go in for a session for 3 hours. They're expecting 5 or 6 full songs.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy smokes. That's quite a bit.
Yeah. That's, it's pretty grueling. And some of those A-list guys, man, it's incredible to watch them. I hope I get to that level eventually. But yeah, sometimes you go in and it's like you may get a run through of a song once just to listen to it, and it may not even be, it may just be a guy singing with a guitar, and they say go.
Yeah, and you got to come up with
you're in there and downbeat starts and you're creating and you're creating your parts on the fly. And if you kind of mess up somewhere or flub a note or whatever, you've got to remember that. So by the time you finish that first run through, you say, put me in here at measure so-and-so, and they'll punch you in right there, and you'll just, play that little part that you messed up, and then you just keep going. You move on to the next song.
Right.
It's pretty crazy. But I think the biggest thing that shocked me was my timing in playing, and being a little bit on top of the beat or too much ahead of the beat. And playing live, you don't really realize that, but when you get in the studio and start scrutinizing everything, it's like, wow, it's pretty crazy to me, because I thought my timing was always really, really good. And then I listened to it and I was like, oh, I need to work on that a little bit.
Did you see that thing on Facebook? I saw something last week. It's what is a drummer, like it's like a cartoon or something. It said, drummer in the studio before he gets started. Okay, do you want me to play ahead of the beat or behind the beat?
Yeah.
It was funny to see that. But everybody says the same thing, because I talked to guitar players. They say the same thing. They were shocked that, they thought, they like I talked to Jeff King. Do you know him?
Oh yeah.
And he said, I practice with a metronome religiously for years and years and years, because that was I was surprised when I heard myself in the studio.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I've spent so much time on that. Cause you've got to be right on the money. Cause the more you have to go back and try to, stay in time or fix something, it's like, the producer's getting kind of angry.
Cost and money, time and money.
Yes, time and money. So you may not get hired back for another session. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Those guys spend so much time and so many years to get to where they are. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Tough business.
Whole different game.
We might have touched on this a little bit, but what were some of the bigger surprises for you once you got to town and started playing professionally? Surprises about either the playing itself, about the business, or about the business end of being a professional musician? Just kind of the way you get your foot in the door kind of surprised me a little bit. I don't remember my dad talking too much about that growing up. But it's just like, it's all about connections. It's all about who you know. There's so many talented players in Nashville that aren't doing anything. And, I take a look at myself and it's like, well, why me? Why did I get the chance? And it's just because I got in the right circles. So just the circles and the connections,
just really surprised me how much everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
It's just a really tight-knit unit. But at the same time, once you're in there, it's like it surprised me how laid back and personable a lot of these people were. I thought some of these guys would be hard to approach and ask questions, or ask for their phone number to pick their brain about something. And most of them are pretty down to earth, and that kind of surprised me, honestly. Because you look up to these people so long, and it's like you almost kind of put them on a pedestal, and then to be sitting there, talking with some of them and hanging out, it's like that surprised me how personable a lot of those people were.
Yeah, I think that's like that even in business. But what I've come to realize is everybody's pretty similar in that you got too much on your list to do. Your kids don't listen to you. No matter how much money you have, it's still you got to hustle and make more. So I mean, there's not really. I mean, everybody's different personality, of course, but there's. Yeah. As far as just because someone's one place on the pecking order, I found that they're most of them are not. Most people are not walking around actively thinking, well, do I talk to him because I'm higher up on the pecking order than him? Yeah. I mean, that's what I found in the more successful people.
Yeah.
It seems like good people become successful. It's basically.
Yeah. No, I would definitely agree with that. That definitely seems to be the case from my experience. It really kind of surprised me, honestly. I don't know why it surprised me, but it did.
Well, because you just said it. There's like your idols, and you're like, wow, and you see they're not, wow, they want to talk to me. Yeah, why not?
Normal people. Yeah. But and on the other hand, though, certain things, mainly songwriting, see how competitive it is, and me just kind of coming up as somebody who's hasn't had a major cut or anything going on. And to see some of these guys that are pushing out number ones, to see how competitive they are against me, like I'm almost kind of coming in on their turf, like I'm almost a threat. And I'm thinking, I'm nowhere close to being a threat to you.
They don't know.
Or
you don't
being
know
competitive to you at this point in my career. So I've seen some of that too. Yeah. And that really kind of surprised me.
But they don't know if you're a threat or not, because it's up to a third party, and you never,
right.
So they're thinking, now I got another guy, it's like, you want to be the first guy to ask out the good looking girl in school, because everybody, you don't know what she's thinking. She might not, you don't know what her taste is, right? No, it's
right.
It's kind of similar like that. You just, when your destiny's in someone else's hands, I think it's hard to, have that sense of stability sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
So you started playing guitar. What happened? What prompted you to pick up bass? Like, what made you switch guitar?
Man, that's a long, weird story.
Give me the Cliff Notes.
My first experience with bass, I was playing with a bluegrass band that my dad had at the time, and I was just kind of doubling what he was doing on the guitar, rhythm-wise, and after rehearsals, I would go over and pick up the bass, and it was a big upright bass, and I was so small I had to sit on a stool to play it. But I found it kind of interesting, and I think they started kind of taking notice of that. And after a while, the bass player that we had, she decided that she wanted to play hammered dulcimer on a lot more of the stuff. So they kind of tried me out on bass, and I just kind of took to it pretty quickly.
And this is in a bluegrass band? In
bluegrass, yeah.
With your dad?
Yes.
How cool is that, playing in a band with your dad?
Yeah, man, it was... I can't say enough about just the influences and experiences I had growing up, the people that I got to be around. It's just been amazing. But yeah, I just... that was kind of my first experience with bass. And still at that point, I didn't think about being a bass player. I want to be a guitar player. And as I got a little older, I was playing some bass in church, mainly out of necessity because there was nobody else that could play it. So I kept getting thrown on bass, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I wanted to play guitar. And then after a while, I started getting into drums and started playing drums quite a bit. So then it became, do I want to be a guitar player or a drummer? And everybody was like, you need to be a bass player. It's like, you think like a bass player, just the way you approach stuff is like a bass player. And I was like, I don't want to be a bass player. I hated it. I did not want to be that guy in the band. I didn't enjoy it. And I moved off for a while, and my brother was starting to have some success with a Christian group at the time, and they were looking for a bass player. And they asked me if I wanted to play. So I moved back to town and started playing bass. And
so you and Blake were playing together?
Yeah.
Well, that must have been cool too.
On a few things. Yeah, we've grown up playing together. I think we've both really kind of challenged each other. He's probably been my biggest influence, just because I've always wanted to try to outplay him.
Sure.
And that's probably another reason that I switched to bass, is because he was starting to get so good at guitar. And it's just like, he's so amazing, and he continues to get more amazing. It was just like, I think I reached a point where it just wasn't clicking as much with me.
Right.
So yeah, I started playing bass with that group, and it was weird. It was almost like a instant transition. It was like, from that moment, I considered myself a bass player, and I loved it. I don't know what changed or why, but it's just like almost instantaneously, bass became my main instrument. And, now I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love it. It's my favorite instrument to play by far. I still like to play guitar and drums and dabble in that some, but, yeah, it's just kind of a weird story. I kind of rebelled against being a bass player forever. And then all of a sudden I just kind of became, I don't know if I chose it or it chose me, but it was just kind of instantaneous. I just took to it.
Yeah, well, sometimes the universe puts you, lets you know, hey man, you're in the right place,
Yeah.
Sounds like that some of that was going on. What's your go-to bass right now that you're playing? Are you like most of the bass players I've interviewed, they have to have a number of different basses for different tunings. Are you in that situation?
I am a little bit. Right now, we don't have a guitar tech out on the road. So I don't get to switch as much as I would like, but I tend to. Couple 3 years back, I started playing my basses a whole step lower, tuning them a whole step down.
Right. A lot of guys talk to do that.
And it I learned that from a session player in Nashville, and it really the bass just sits a lot better. The instrument just really sings a lot better when it's tuned down like that, and then you've got access to some of those lower notes. And I tend to gravitate more towards 4-string, even though I played 5-string for years. I really like playing the 4-string. So to be able to have some of those lower notes was kind of nice too. But I pretty much got just 2 basses that I'm rotating out on the road right now. I've got a Fender Jazz. It's like a 62 reissue. And then the main bass that I've been playing most of this year that I've gone to is a Music Man Sterling.
How do you like that?
Man, I love it. I really do. It's a little bit different from the Stingrays. It's got a little bit different tone, but it's a smaller body, so everything feels a little smaller. So for me, I don't know why, it's easier to play and move around with on stage and perform with.
Sure.
But the way they design the neck on those basses is just incredible. It just feels
good.
Amazing. Yeah, it just feels amazing. And that was one of the biggest things that drew me towards that particular bass, and the tone too. It sounds great.
And you tune that one a whole step down as well?
Yeah, play both of them down. I'm trying to throw one in the mix that I've got tuned differently from those for a couple of the songs that we do. But yeah, for the most part, I've been able to get by with just with just those two, with what we're doing right now anyway.
That's great. Make sure life easier. Who are your influences on from a bass guitar standpoint?
I'd have to say, Timothy B. Smith from the Eagles.
Eagles, yeah.
It's definitely one of them. I love Pino Palladino.
Played with
killer bass player, played on a multitude of records. Yeah. He's doing a lot of touring with John Mayer right now, I believe.
Yeah, he was with Jeff Beck for quite a while too.
Yeah, but honestly, more close to home, a lot of the studio guys in Nashville are really who I kind of look to. I'd have to say one of my favorites is a guy named Jimmy Lee Sloas. Just amazing bass player. Played on everybody's albums, but just his style of playing just really kind of speaks to me somehow. It's just it's very distinct. I was listening to different records, some Keith Urban records, Carrie Underwood, stuff like that. And I kept hearing these bass lines. And I was like, who's that bass player? So I would go and look, and his name popped up. Well, then I heard on some other stuff, so I went and looked it up, and his name popped up. And his name just kept popping up, and I was wow, I've really got to dig into this guy and see what's going on. So yeah, him.
Did you get to meet him?
I haven't yet. I got to sit in a guy that was kind of mentoring me a little bit, named Joey Canaday. Mm-hmm. He a big session guy. He also plays for Leanne Rimes, but I got to go sit in some sessions with him and just kind of learn from him, and got to talking with him, and come to find out he was mentored by Jimmy Lee Sloas.
Oh,
so it was just kind of weird how
cool.
that all connected.
It's funny that you're attracted to another guy whose style is directly derived from the guy whose style you really like.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's just crazy, but I tend to those are the guys that inspire me, that I tend to look towards. But there's so many out there that honestly that have inspired me in some way, some form or fashion.
Sure. Just off the cuff, do you have a favorite album?
That's a tough one.
It is a tough one. It's real tough. I'm not even saying top three. I'm like a favorite album. You can go top three. I'll cut you some slack.
Yeah, top three. I could probably do a little better. I've got such an eclectic taste. White Ladder by David Gray. One of my favorites. Probably John Mayer's Continuum. Really good album. And gosh, I don't know.
Desert Island.
311 Transistor. Another one of my favorites. Man, it's hard to pick. I could name probably 10 of my favorites, but they kind of go back and forth. I don't really have a number one.
Sure.
But yeah, those are some of my favorite ones for sure.
It's funny. Most bass players have pretty eclectic tastes.
It's weird because it's like some of my favorite albums. I tend to look at an album in its entirety. So some of my favorite albums versus some of my favorite songs. Some of my favorite songs are not even on those albums.
I'm tracking with you 100%.
And then then you ask me, who's some of your favorite artists? Well, some of those may not even be my favorite songs or favorite album. It's just, I try to look at things in their entirety. But growing up listening to music, it was weird. The music that I was kind of listening to wasn't necessarily the stuff that I was sitting down trying to learn, which is weird because usually, you see kids learning guitar, they pick their favorite bands and try to learn those songs. And I wasn't really doing that.
Yeah, that is weird.
I was learning stuff that was more fun to play, but then a lot of stuff I was listening to, I was just listening to as a fan. So, it's really weird how that kind of worked with me growing up.
Well, you also played guitar too, so maybe you had other stuff going on in your head. You could have listened to it from a guitar standpoint.
Even to this day, I probably listen to drums more than anything when I listen to a song. I don't really pay attention to the bass line right off the bat with most things.
I once heard Warren Haynes in an interview, and he said that the best thing a guitarist could do is play drums.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe it's the same thing like what you're thinking about. You know, you as a rhythm section guy, you're going to be tuned into that. There's other stuff going on that you're going to key in that.
Yeah, no, that definitely helps, especially being a drummer. It definitely helps because I can kind of a lot of times see where they're, you know, whoever I'm playing with, where they're going. You know, kind of having that drum experience myself. So yeah, it definitely helps. You know, getting it from different perspectives like that for sure. You know, a lot of times people look at you weird, especially, you know, professional musicians, when you tell them you were a guitar player who has now become a bass player. They're kind of like, oh gosh, this is going to be, you know, a lot of those guys will still try to play the bass like they play the guitar, and it's just too busy. So, yeah, I try not to mention that a lot of times going into certain situations.
Are you saying guitar players like to play a lot?
Sometimes, most of the time, you know.
Hey, let's go back a little bit. What's your best childhood memory?
Best childhood memory? Really, it's probably more of a collection of memories. Just being out at my grandparents' place with my cousins growing up. We just had so much fun out there. You know, I don't think I have a specific memory.
They were in Tullahoma as well? Tullahoma?
Yeah. My grandparents lived on the edge of town, and they were on three sides. They were surrounded by woods.
Oh, cool. So yeah,
and across the road was just a big open field. So yeah, we just kind of we tore up those woods.
That's awesome.
Got lost a couple times.
Yeah.
Had the city out looking for us, which was not fun. But yeah, man, just those probably just more of a collection of memories than a specific memory that I could point to.
If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what do you think you'd be doing instead?
Possibly something else in the music industry. I don't know what. I've looked at other things. Because, you know, weirdly enough, my dad always tried to steer me away from being a professional musician.
I can understand that. Yeah.
You know, keep it more as a love than as a career. But you know, I wasn't having it.
Yeah.
But I did look at some other stuff. You know, I'd looked at going in the medical field at one point. I'd even really looked hard about, you know, becoming I can't even think of the term now. I'm having a senior moment.
That's all right. It gets worse. Trust me.
Yeah. Mortician, going to mortuary school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I really got a good look at that. I dated a girl for a while whose whole family does that and have built this huge business.
Yeah.
So that honestly was kind of an interest of mine for a while. And it's something that, you know, I've always thought, well, if I wasn't on the road or wasn't playing, that I may be interested in doing. But, you know, probably even more above that, you know, I was in the military for a while.
I knew that. What branch?
And just Air Force.
Oh, man, so you must be smart.
A little bit smart.
Yeah, you can't get into the Air Force. Well, I have
smarter than you know, the Army and stuff like that.
That's Brandon talking, not me.
But you know, I kind of have that mentality. You know, I grew up shooting and stuff like that, so it's like, you know, I think kind of a separate dream of mine was doing something, maybe in the form of like law enforcement or like private security or something like that. You know, I'm kind of real tactically oriented.
Sure.
In that fashion. So that's you know, that's something that I've looked into before. You know, but you know, probably too late to try to get into anything like that at this point. If
Never
music
too late,
didn't work out.
Never too late. I didn't know you were in the Air Force.
There's other things I could see myself doing, but I don't think I would ever be as happy as what I'm doing now.
Music. Most important person in your life?
Oh, I have to say, my girlfriend Allie for sure.
Oh, that's nice.
She's man, she's a superstar. She just it's hard to date somebody when you're in this business, especially being gone all the time. You know, you feel you're called to it, but they've almost got to be kind of called to the life as well. But yeah, man, she's just really supportive, and you know, she's back here in the real world, getting stuff done when I'm gone. You know,
That's nice, man.
playing a musician.
How long y'all been together?
Just a little over 3 years.
That's cool, man. Congratulations.
But she's yeah, man, she definitely keeps me going. She's just been amazing with everything. And I know it's hard. I know it's so hard on her, me being gone all the time. But you know, she really wants it for me. She really supports my career, and that's just been a huge help.
That's good. Yeah, it is a huge help when you have somebody support you, man. Supports what you're doing. How'd you guys meet?
Through music, actually. She's a singer. We're actually from the same town, but we grew up doing a lot of things in music. And one particular show that we did every year, I used to play in the house band for, and she used to, you know, help out backstage, and she would perform and sing in the show as well. It's kind of a Grand Ole Opry meets Hee Haw type show. You know, a lot of the businesses would buy spots for advertisements, and they would write these different skits, commercials for the different businesses, and that's kind of how they funded it. But yeah, so I met her through that. I just kind of, you know, we just kind of grew up together doing that, and you know, we were kind of friends, but never really spoke. In fact, that was pretty much the only time we saw each other, was doing events like that around town. And yeah, just one year we just kind of started talking and just went from there.
Good for you, man. I'm happy for you. That's nice. Any hobbies or interests outside of music?
When I got the time, yeah. It's I'm pretty big into rock climbing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do a lot of that. Well, I used to do a lot of that.
Is that?
Yeah.
Is there a lot of places out where you're at to do that?
There are. Some of the best climbing in the country is here in the Southeast. There's one place that's just about an hour away from here that's just amazing. People from all over the world come to climb there.
Oh, what's it called?
Yeah, it's Foster Falls.
Interesting.
It's a state park, but yeah, some really good climbing out there. And we've got Stone Door, Sunset Rock. There's just a bunch of climbing areas down here in the Southeast, around Chattanooga and all those places. So yeah, really big into that. Blake is as well. We both got started into it, and that was kind of something we bonded over outside of music.
That's good. Probably a good outlet for both of you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get to do it as much right now because I'm so busy. But anything outdoors, really, I love kayaking, skiing, anything like that. I'm up for skydiving. Done that a few times.
Oh wow! How was that, man? I'd be freaked out doing that.
I would suggest it to anybody.
Oh, you would?
I would, absolutely. I think everybody should go at least once. It was pretty amazing. You know, some people have, you know, fear of heights, but it's like once you get to that point, it's like, you know.
No, I don't. I could not see myself throwing myself out of a plane.
It was a cool experience. It was really kind of you know, peaceful and calming, honestly, because, you know, first off, they don't really give you time to even think about it. You're out the door before you can even think about it. But another thing that people say all the time is, you know, I don't like that feeling of falling, and you never have that. You never have that the entire time. You never have that feeling that you're falling.
That's what would freak me out. Why?
Yeah. And
I can't even go on a roller coaster.
I don't know why that is. It's not like a roller coaster when you go over a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You got that feeling in your stomach. You never get that in skydiving. But yeah, man, it's such an experience. It really is. It's really cool.
Favorite place you've traveled? Did you travel when you were in the service?
I didn't really. I mean, I did a few different temporary duties around the States, but I never did deploy overseas.
You didn't deploy overseas.
I volunteered a few times actually, but I pretty much stayed stateside. Went to a few different places here in the States, but didn't do a whole lot of traveling with the military. Weirdly enough, I've done way more since I've been out of the military than I did in the military. But
any place in particular you like?
My favorite place that I've gone, it's definitely Ireland, for sure.
You know what? I think your brother said the same thing or something like that. Ireland or Scotland? I think so. Yeah.
I think he went. I think he actually went before I went.
You have like Irish ancestry, maybe? Is that what is that?
We do, yeah.
Okay, yep. My memory is okay.
We do have a lot of Irish ancestry, but by far my favorite place to go. We did a small tour over in Europe, and we started in Sweden, and then Norway, and then Ireland and England.
Oh, cool, man! Those are cool places. Yeah,
really cool places. Wish we had a little more time to do some stuff in Norway than we got, but we had quite a few days off in Ireland. Lauren was doing some promo stuff, so me and the drummer and guitar player, we hopped on a bus and just took off cross country.
That's so cool, man!
And just saw some amazing stuff. And then our guitar player had met somebody who lived over there, so she took us just on the locals tour of all these. We stayed in these little B&Bs in the middle of nowhere. It's just incredible. Definitely my favorite place I've ever traveled to by far.
Very cool, man. That's nice.
Sure.
What's favorite part of what you do and least favorite?
Favorite part, definitely the performing. It's amazing to perform all these different places, and some of it kind of becomes routine, but at the same time, it's still always exciting stepping out on stage, especially when you got huge crowds. But yeah, being able to play music and hear people sing it back to you, and really get into that's definitely the best part. The worst part is definitely the travel.
Yeah.
It's so much traveling. It's just ridiculous, and I don't mind so much when we're on the bus because that's kind of like a home away from home. But all the flying we do, I'm so sick of flying.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Once I get on the plane, I'm fine, but it's just the whole process.
The process, it's like
it's just, man, that's definitely the worst part.
And that's what almost every artist says when I ask that question. Who's had the biggest influence on your life?
Life in general or musically?
You tell me. You're having a little on the one shoulder. You're saying, "Man, I better say my girlfriend." On the other shoulder, somebody saying,
"She's definitely one of them." It's there again. It's a collection of people. My whole family, my parents and my brother, and even my grandparents were just, huge inspirations for me growing up, and just had a lot of impact on me. So yeah, I can't say any one person.
No,
really.
That's a fine answer.
If I had to pick one, I'd probably say my brother. Honestly, he's just such a cool person in general. But even though he's my little brother, there's so many ways that I look up to him, and he challenges me in my day-to-day life on how to be, what type of person you should be, because he's a real genuine, but he even subconsciously, sometimes he really just kind of pushes me.
That's good, man.
In day-to-day life and music too. I always try to, kind of outdo him musically. So he's really kind of pushed me as well. And my dad, another huge influence. And then a guy that I grew up with, a drummer, used to play professionally named Tim Hedge. He played for a lot of different artists, Holly Dunn, Billy Dean. But he was always big influence on me musically, and just really pushing me to be professional and to be better. So yeah, that's.
Oh, that's good. I think Blake had a similar answer. You guys, I know you had a great family because you both have answered very similar things in similar situations.
Yeah.
Your stories match, so you're all right. Hey, what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you on stage or in the studio? You got a big old smile. It's going to be good.
Playing a song in the wrong key.
Oh, that's not that bad. Did anybody notice?
It is when you're in front of 30,000 people.
Oh my!
And you're opening for Rascal Flatts.
Holy smokes!
No, it was it was just a thing. Some confusion on what we were doing, and it was weird. We had I think we had talked about changing a key for that particular show, and it kind of went back and forth. So it was like some of us started in one key, some of us started in another, and it was just like, oh my
wow.
Goodness.
Where was this?
Gosh, I don't even remember where it was. I think it may have been somewhere in Arkansas, maybe. But yeah, a pretty big crowd, and we were doing a show with Rascal Flatts, and so that was kind of a rough one. But that doesn't really ever happen, so. Which is a good thing, but yeah, when it does, it's just like, wow.
Yeah. That's not that bad, though. Honestly, that's not that bad.
Yeah, I think it was more awkward for us because our front of house sound guy kind of realized what was going on and kind of pulled some of the instruments out pretty quickly.
Okay.
So where it sounded kind of weird to the crowd, I don't think they knew what was going on.
No,
he was pretty on top of it. We could still hear it in our ears. We didn't find out till later that he had, pulled out some of the instruments pretty quickly. But we jumped back in there and it was fine. But that's definitely for me one of the more embarrassing things as a professional musician. Something you don't want to do.
Yeah, I can hear that. 2 more questions, man. What's the most important lesson your business has taught you?
It really goes with any type of business, but hard work is what's going to get you places. There's no free rides, especially in the music industry. You definitely you've got to be on your game constantly because whereas you may be friends with a lot of people you're playing with, you're replaceable at any moment.
Huh.
So just striving to constantly get better. That's definitely one of the things that I've learned with the music business. Other than that, just man, don't ever speak a bad word about anybody.
Yeah.
Because
that's good advice.
That's just good advice in general.
Yeah.
But the music business, there's so many people in the music business, but at the same time, there's so many tight circles, and you never know who's worked with who, or who's worked on this song or that song or with that artist or whatever.
Yeah, very true.
I've seen people, really just ruin their careers by saying stuff, and sometimes not even saying stuff that's that bad. But people take that personally.
Like saying
sure.
I don't like a specific artist to somebody else, and it turns out that they're the producer of that.
Yeah, exactly. You never know, because you could be sitting. Yeah, you could be sitting beside the producer. You could be sitting beside somebody who's in the studio that they eat. You never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
good common sense.
Probably just a good life lesson in general.
That's good common sense.
But yeah, so those two things for sure.
And last question, it's a tough one. What's your definition of happiness?
Being successful, but success is, so subjective, really. For me, happiness is just doing what I love, and being able to make a living at it, and then have people around me that support me in doing that. It's one of my good friends who was my boss at one point. He builds houses for a living, ridiculously good house. Builds custom homes, like high dollar custom homes. A lot of what he does is manual labor, but he loves it. He absolutely loves it. And he told me, find something that you love to do, and you'll never work another day in your life.
Yeah.
Which is true in a lot of aspects. I mean, obviously, work is work. But yeah, that for me, that's what happiness is. Finding something that you love to do and being able to do it and make money at it. It's just amazing. I know so many people that aren't blessed in that way, that do things that they hate. And, I can't see myself doing something like that.
Sure.
I've got to love what I do. So yeah, I mean, that's what I would qualify as happiness, I guess.
It's interesting. You and your brother are very similar in a lot of the core, thoughts you have, because I think if I remember correctly, he said, "Oh man, I'm just so blessed to be getting paid to do," same answer basically,
Yeah, it's, and especially, I know he's worked so hard at it as well. And it's like, there's so many people that don't get that opportunity, no matter how good they are in this business. And it's like, to be able to finally do that and make money, because, I've done that and had to do other jobs at the same time just to survive. And being to the point to where, that's my career now, and I'm making good money doing it, and, not struggling and providing for myself. And yeah, that's just that's probably the biggest reward, and to me, the biggest achievement biggest goal that I've reached in my life. Is being able to do that. It's just so rewarding and so fulfilling. It's just yeah.
That's cool, man. I tell you what, I'd love to have you back on here in a couple of years, maybe, to see where you've been, how things have progressed in the songwriting end, or, what else you're doing on that, man. It'd be really interesting to see that, man. So,
yeah.
Anything you don't want to promote, or anything else you're working on right now that you want to let people know about? Where can they send you money?
Well, my address is I don't really have anything that I want to promote for myself. Just more so just promote Lauren's stuff, really. Her new album is just killer. So if you haven't picked it up, definitely go out and check it out.
What's it called?
It's called Road Less Traveled.
Lauren Alaina.
Which is the title track. Is also her first #1 song on country radio and Billboard. But yeah, the whole album is just amazing, and she wrote all the songs.
Oh wow, that's unusual.
Yeah, she's an incredible talent. But so yeah, I definitely like to plug that. Go check that out for sure.
Very cool, man. Road Less Traveled by Lauren Alaina.
Yep.
All right, man. Hey, man, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Oh, man, I appreciate the invite.
And I know you're not feeling too well, so thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll get over it here soon, because got to head back out. But, yeah, man, it's kicking my butt the past couple of days. I don't know if it's just allergies or what, but, yeah.
My wife, when we were up there last year, it was around this time, she had terrible allergies. I mean,
oh, they're horrible here. Yeah, it's they say it's one of the worst places, and then Nashville itself seems to sit in like this big pollen dust bowl, which is great for singers. But it's yeah, man. And it always happens to me this time of year. I go through this with the change in the weather, especially traveling back and forth from different climates. It's just, it can take its toll. But
how long does that last? When will that ease up?
It'll probably last for a couple of weeks, honestly.
Oh, I was gonna say until it gets cool, but that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen, man. It's so hot here. I don't know.
It's a little bit cooler here now. It's been cooler the past few days.
That's great.
Yeah, man. It's just it'll pass, but it's definitely kicking my butt a little bit.
Well, man, we hope you feel better, and thank you again so much for coming on the show and for being such a good guy.
Absolutely, man. Really thanks for having me so much.
No, thank you, man. Everybody, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this interview with Brandon Wrinn as much as I did. Thanks again to Brandon Wrinn for spending the time. I truly appreciate it. And y'all go to everyonelovesguitar.com. Sign up to get notified about future episodes along with some other cool new things we'll be doing for guitar players. Now, be nice. Go play your guitar and have some fun. Till next time, I'm out. Peace. And thanks again, Brandon.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, subscribe to the Everyone Loves Guitar podcast, and you can do this online at everyonelovesguitar.com or on iTunes. And if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star positive review. The more 5-star reviews we get, the higher our show ranks, and higher rankings mean we get to continue speaking with cool, interesting guests on our show. We'll see you on the next episode, and until then, keep playing your guitar and have fun making music.